thank you, Dr. Turnbull and Dr. Spitanik, for your continued commitment to students with disabilities and their families. Now we have an opportunity to welcome a few students, parents, and teachers to learn more about how the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act has specifically impacted their lives. The two panels are each comprised of a youth, parent, and teacher. Our first panel includes Noah Kane, a freshman at Rock Ridge High School in Loudoun County, Virginia. His mother, Kristen Kane, and a former teacher, William Gulgert, who is currently an assistant principal at Stonehill Middle School. Our second panel includes Madison Essig, and a senior at Woodrow Wilson High School, here in the District of Columbia. Her mother, Kimberly Templeton, and her teacher, Eden McCaulson, who teaches English and Social Studies at Woodrow Wilson High School. Let's welcome our first panel.
Good morning. Happy birthday, IDEA. I would like to start with thank you for the opportunity as a parent to speak today. My son Noah and I are proud to be part of such a historical event. And to be able to bring such a special educator with us today, Mr. Bill Gogert from Loudoun County Public School, really makes our team complete. I was nominated by our team to start today, and I thought, well, I guess that would be okay, because sometimes as parents we are the initiators in this process. What I thought I would do is begin with a short story so that you may have an opportunity to get a small glimpse of Noah and this journey through the eyes of his mom. Now, what you might notice about this story is that IDEA, today's guest of honor, does not make an appearance until close to the end. And that's because so many families, we did not realize we had landed at the doorstep of IDEA until we were knocking on the door. You see, with an invisible disability like learning disabilities, our family was unaware Noah needed services until he began to struggle in the classroom. Noah attended preschool and entered kindergarten with all the other 5-year-olds from our neighborhood. And on the first day, Noah met his teacher. She asked him what he would like to learn in kindergarten. He quickly responded, "I want to learn to read like my big sister Hannah." That sounded like a great plan to me, and as a proud mom, I thought pretty insightful for a 5-year-old. Well, it just did not happen. The letters and sounds did not become automatic for him like his peers, but he soaked up his environment and he traveled on to first grade. We mentioned and discussed with his teachers things seemed a bit off. His friends know their ABCs, they're sounding out words, and they're beginning to read books. Hang on, Mrs. Kane. He's so bright. Keep reading together at home. It's all going to come together. We arrived at second grade, ready for that click, the one that was going to happen any minute. And in October of that year, we received a call from his second grade teacher. She asked us to sit down and let us know Noah was reading below a kindergarten level. She thought it was time we begin the referral process for special education. We had now arrived at the threshold of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The process seemed harried and sometimes painfully slow. The discussion size increased from parent and teacher to a conference room full of professionals. It was scary and comforting all at once. And when our rights and responsibilities were slid across the table, I knew we had entered into new territory. Over the years to come, we learned so much, not only about dyslexia and dysgraphia, but about IDEA and how the law serves to protect Noah and his education in the public school classroom. We educated ourselves through resources like the NCLD and the Virginia State PTI. We learned about things like measurable goals, accommodations, accessibility to the curriculum, and we realized the importance and huge impact the administrators and teachers of a school have in creating an environment of high expectations and acceptance throughout the building. And finally, we embraced our roles as engaged parents on the IEP team. And when Noah was ready, he joined that team, because who better to hear from than the child, the I in the Individuals with Disability Education Act. And with that, I would like to turn the floor to Noah.
Thank you, Mom, and thank you all for allowing me to be here. Since I am here to speak about my story, I'd like to start from the beginning. One constant in my life is my love for science. My mom sometimes teases that I understood gravity on different planets before I understood my ABCs, and instead of spending time watching Sesame Street, I spent time watching the Science Channel. I think the first instance I can remember dyslexia impacting my education was in 2nd grade. Whenever we would read aloud, I would count the number of students before me so I could find my paragraph. I would do this to give myself extra time to try to match the words being read by my peers to the words I could find or match in my paragraph. The hope was to figure out the words before it was my turn. It actually only worked 2 or 3 times, but it was worth the attempt since I couldn't read. Even to this day, I will be listening to a book in class, or I will ask someone to read directions to me, and they will look at me as if it's wrong or I'm just being lazy. This is a small amount of my life. I'm sure there are people in the audience that know the struggle of being dyslexic or dysgraphic, but my life is not just a struggle. There are plenty of happy and good moments, like the first time I finished a chapter book. I was in the 3rd grade, and my mom had gotten me access to audiobooks on Learning Ally. The book was Hank Zipser, co-authored by Henry Winkler and Lynn Oliver, who I was lucky enough to meet this past September at the National Book Festival right here in D.C. You see, the main character in the Hank Zipser books has a learning disability, just like me and Henry Winkler. Finishing that audiobook was a big deal. It wasn't just finishing a book, it was a trophy to me. I'm still not a big eye reader, but I am an avid ear reader. What I learned from that book was that I love stories. It was the reading that got in the way. But accommodations can help. Now let's talk about accommodations. Accommodations are very important to me. They help level the playing field in test taking and classroom assignments. Accommodations let me show my knowledge on the content of a subject without my reading and writing disabilities getting in the way. For example, having a small group to take tests in helps me focus on the questions being asked, and having someone read the questions aloud secures I understand the questions being asked. As I move through my grades, self-advocacy is becoming more and more prominent. I'm confident to speak up for myself to my teachers, and I know that as an adult I will need to do the same for myself, whether I'm a college student or own my own business or discovering new theories of physics. Now as a freshman in high school, I remain loyal to my passion as a child and am most interested and motivated in my science classes. I want to go to college with a strong science department and double major in theoretical physics and astrophysics, and become an astrophysicist that comes up with theories of space, like Stephen Hawking's. Disability or not, I hope to change the world someday, and I know that I can with people like my parents and Mr. Goldert on my side.
What a spectacular self-advocate Noah has become. He definitely understands his needs, and he's able now to voice them effectively to others who need to know. We're lucky because we're surrounded by parents and educators who not only understand IDEA, but use that as a framework of best practices in working with all students. When Noah first transitioned to 6th grade, I remember it like it was yesterday, because he was polite and respectful and said hi every day in the hallway, and you wouldn't know from interacting that he struggled with anything, because he hid it well. But he definitely knew that there was an issue. The difference is he didn't have a voice at that time. So within that transition, it was important for us to get Mr. and Mrs. Kane and Noah involved into the IEP process, because we all need to be decision makers, and no one person knows everything. So as a team, we were able to effectively identify what Noah needed year after year, month after month, depending on when it was. So building those relationships, from our perspective, was the baseline for creating a spectacular team where we had guidelines that everybody had input, and we listened to one another through the meetings and outside of the meetings, and we incorporated Noah into the input early on. I think that teamwork and that ability to listen and incorporate a young adolescent is what got us to where we are today with Noah, definitely with the help of both Mr. and Mrs. Kane. So today, Noah has overcome many hurdles, and it's never been with a complaint or placing of blame, but instead a young man who sets goals and achieves goals, and then repeats the process by setting new, more rigorous goals. We could not be more proud of Noah and the young man he's become. He's an inspiration to many of us, and to be honest with you, there are things that I've learned from working with the family and working with Noah that I bring into my own house. So we'd like to thank you for listening to Noah's story and for letting us play a role in the 40th anniversary of IDEA.